So I was just about to go live on Twitch to play some Mortal Kombat, but this popped into my feed, so we're going to take a look at it and react to it before that happens. Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel for Tuesday, May 13th again. 3 videos in one day. Look at that. Anyways, Pierre Poilievre has something to say about today's cabinet swearing in. And as far as we know, he is still going to be holding the opposition leadership spot, as he is going to be running for by-election in the riding in Alberta for Battle River Crowfoot. So he is remarking here about the cabinet ministers in this short video that we are going to listen to called Holding Them Accountable. Now this was done just after the ministers were sworn in, and that was very much as Mark Carney wants to be a different prime minister than Justin Trudeau, it still was very performative. I should have covered this in the beginning or in my other video. They were very heavy on the Indigenous representation in today's ceremony. They had "O Canada" sung in French, English, and Ashavik, I think was the language. Then we had a Métis fiddler to fiddle everybody out of Rideau Hall. And so it was very much heavy in Indigenous representation, but it looks like Mark Carney is going to try to provide some actual Indigenous representation with ministers from actual northern ridings representing portfolios like Indigenous affairs. So let's see what Mr. Poilievre has to say in regards to the choices that were made and the portfolios that were filled.
So I'd like to begin today in English by congratulating the new ministers for their roles. It's literally a 1 in a million opportunity. I think they have 40 ministers in total, and there's about 41 million people, so it's literally 1 in a million to be a minister, and a big accomplishment to get to that place.
Well, I will correct him. He said there were 40 ministers in total. The cabinet has 28 ministers. 24 of them are new faces, and then there are 10 secretaries of state. So I'm not sure where he's getting the number 40 from. I don't know if he's adding the secretaries of state into the number of ministers. That's just a little nitpick, but let's carry on.
The Conservatives will take our role of holding the government accountable seriously. That doesn't mean we reflexively oppose everything the government does. When it comes, for example, to foreign affairs, if the government does a good job at defending our national interests in negotiations with the U.S., then we will support those efforts. When they're right, we'll stand with them. When they're wrong, we will oppose them. We hope the country succeeds. We want the nation to do well. We ran on the promise of bringing home Canada's promise. A very simple deal that Canada used to provide, which is that anyone who works hard gets a great life in an affordable home on a safe street under our proud flag. And that means boosting the buying power of our workers and seniors by cutting wasteful spending and bureaucracy to bring down taxes and inflation. It means freeing workers and businesses to build more affordable homes and develop resources. It means unleashing investment by cutting and simplifying taxes. It means protecting our streets with stronger laws and borders. Canadians cannot afford more high-spending, high-taxing, over-regulating, out-of-touch Liberal policies that have priced young people out of homes, inflicted crime waves on our communities, driven 2 million people to the food bank, and made life unbearable for too many hardworking and decent people.
Okay, that you're repeating all of what you said during your campaign. I understand that you have to do that because you're still trying to run for re-election or for your by-election. But I would like some reaction to the actual picking of the cabinet. What do you have to say about that?
In his first press conference, Mr. Carney talked a good game about reversing Liberal policies in these areas, but now we have to find out if he was serious. And so far, it's not a promising start. The first disappointment is, unfortunately, his cabinet. He appointed Trudeau's old team and Trudeau's old advisors. Stephen Guilbeault, whose radical green agenda would shut down all future developments in our resource industry, is still the minister responsible for Quebec.
Except he's no longer the environment minister. He may be the minister responsible for Quebec, but you just said that his green agenda, radical green agenda policies are still in place. Well, I don't understand how that is if he's no longer involved in the portfolio where green agenda policies would count for something. I like I said, I will call Poilievre out if I disagree with him. And right now he kind of sounds a little bit, he sounds a little bit sore loser, a little bit.
Sean Fraser was the immigration minister who caused the immigration crisis, the housing minister who gave us the housing crisis, and now he's the minister responsible for addressing the Liberal crime crisis.
Okay, yes, that's a bad choice. I agree. I wouldn't have picked Sean Fraser for any ministerial position because of his track record. I'll give you that one.
It seems like he is the master at failing upward. Chrystia Freeland, who as finance minister hiked capital gains tax and carbon taxes and massively grew our debt to the point where we now spend $1 billion a week on interest, stays in the cabinet. Then there's Gary Anadasangari, the new Minister of Public Safety, who said the actual crimes, the actual issues around bail are quite sound, and they are embedded in, codified in law right now, as in to say that there's nothing wrong with the system. Well, in fact, there's everything wrong, as we see from the growing crime wave on our streets.
Okay, again, a very good example. I will, like I said, the first couple of things that you said, you sounded like a sore loser. These next two examples are good points. If we're gonna have somebody that thinks that the bail protocols are fine as the Minister for Public Safety, that's a problem.
Then there's François-Philippe Champagne, Trudeau's Minister of Everything, who never really managed to do anything.
That's true.
And he did it very loudly. But
he did.
Nice guy.
I will agree with Poilievre, and I will, that laugh was warranted. Philippe Champlain is a very loud guy.
I'll give him credit. He's a nice
French.
guy. But he was the Minister of Industry during which we had the worst economic growth of any country in the G7. And now he's in charge of the budget.
Oh boy.
Then there's Joly, LeBlanc, Haidu, Anand. Anand was the president of the Treasury Board, during which time the bureaucracy and the consultant bills blew out of control. In all, 14 Trudeau ministers are now in Carney's cabinet. It's more of the same when Canada needs real change.
That is true. When half the cabinet is somehow tied to Trudeau, a lot of people are just focusing on the top four, like the big four names. But if you count the people that are secretaries of state, etc., then yeah, you've got up to 14 people in the cabinet that are Trudeau era, and that is, you would expect for all of Mark Carney's bluster saying I am not Justin Trudeau, you would expect him to try to prove that and bring in a whole new cabinet. But let's carry on.
Even the new additions are problematic. Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver, who pushed for total legalization of hard drugs, distribution of tax-funded opioids. During his time there was a 600% increase in overdoses. Now he's the housing minister. Well, what's his record on housing? Well, he increased housing taxes in Vancouver by 141%.
Holy crap.
And the result was that housing costs went up by 149%.
And Vancouver was the first place where we really started seeing the housing crisis take off.
More than doubling the cost and giving Vancouver, his city, the most expensive housing prices in all of North America. Now, Mr. Carney puts this gentleman in charge of housing. If this is the new blood that Mr. Carney is bringing into the cabinet, then sadly for Canadians, nothing is going to change, and the role of the Conservative Party will be more important than ever. Conservatives will continue to push real solutions. We'll put forward constructive ideas to reverse the housing crisis, make food affordable, and grow our paychecks. And these sorts of things cannot be solved with more bureaucracy and liberal laws.
That's true, but are you going to, are you going to just flatly oppose, like you said, you're not going to carte blanche oppose everything that they do. But we can't, this is a minority government and we can't have a gridlocked parliament again. So you guys are going to have to play ball somewhere.
We need common sense results. And that's why Conservatives will continue to push for less spending, less taxes, less inflation, to lock up criminals, remove bureaucracy, speed up home building and resource production. We need to put forward real solutions on crime, for example, to toughen up penalties for repeat violent offenders and end the revolving door of broken bail. We will also demand the government actually impose a real cap on immigration so that we can stop the uncontrolled population growth that has put too much pressure on our housing, job, and healthcare systems.
I don't know. What I heard from Mark Carney saying he wanted to put the cap to 5%, the immigration cap to 5%. That sounds like a real cap. We'll have to listen to more Parliament, but that sounds like a real cap to me.
Finally, and most importantly, the only way we get out of this deep economic trouble the Liberals have got us into is by unleashing economic growth. And that means repealing anti-development laws, C-69, the energy cap, the industrial carbon tax, the offshore shipping ban. All of these things need to be reversed so that we can unleash the incredible power of our resources. We need a pro-growth, free enterprise agenda to take us from the worst in the G7 to the best in the G7. We should be the richest country in the world with our resources and our brilliant people, and Conservatives will continue to propose real solutions to make that happen. It's our constitutional duty to hold the government to account, and we will do that. We'll give a voice to all the voiceless, those who have been cast aside, ignored, kicked to the curb, the decent, honorable people whose lives have been turned upside down in the last decade, that feel like they've had, until recently, that they've had no voice. They've asked me to continue to fight for them, and Conservatives are going to be their voice on the floor of the House of Commons. We're proud that we brought together the biggest coalition of Conservatives in history.
Which they did. They absolutely did bring the biggest coalition of Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre is still the best guy to lead the Conservative Party because the base is firmly behind him. The constituency is firmly behind him. They would be very, very much in error to change leadership at this point. So here's hoping that he can win his by-election and remain in the leadership position.
We'll all work. We want to make sure that every single person who vested their hopes in us sees us fighting for them every day, even though the final result did not go how we wanted. No. We want to see dramatic changes, not soft reassurances. We also have an offer to make the Liberals. My message to Mr. Carney, steal my ideas. We've got great ideas. And we've been leading the charge on the debate over carbon taxes, inflation, housing prices, crime, drugs, resource development. And I note the Liberals even lifted a few of those ideas and put them in their platform to get reelected.
They did.
We want to make sure that they were sincere about that. And we're going to continue to put forward solid ideas to make people's lives better every day. Because our purpose is to bring home the promise of Canada, that everyone who works hard gets a great life, that anyone from anywhere can do anything, where you get a nice, affordable home on a safe street. Every day and in every way, we will fight for our people and our country to put people back in charge of their lives with bigger paychecks, abundant, affordable energy, home ownership, low taxes, safe streets, and a strong military in the country that we know and love, Canada. Thank you.
And overall, I will say that was a good response. There were a couple of things that sounded a little bit whiny, but overall, I think he's still the best guy for the leadership role. I think he's still the best guy to lead as an opposition party. And I do like the little quip at the end where he goes, steal my ideas. You know, by all means, take my ideas. You guys did so in the platform, so, you know, follow through on it. You know, like, I like that. I do like that. I think that's a good way of handling it. And I hope as Parliament reconvenes and as we start watching and dissecting like question period and all sorts of like some of the new bills that are coming up, I hope that we'll continue to see strong leadership when it comes to Poilievre. As I said, I'm hoping that he continues to stay calm and like level-headed, like hopefully not too whiny, not too sore of a loser. If he can win his by-election, I think he'll bounce back just fine. And I think that the Liberal caucus and the Liberal party in general will have difficulty capitalizing on his loss, because it really wasn't that big of a loss, and it showed them how much of the country thinks differently than they do. And I think they need to remember that. So this, from all accounts, this was a relatively good response from Mr. Poilievre, and I look forward to seeing how this continues over the next few weeks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How did you think he responded? Did you think this was a good leaderly response, or do you think it was a bit whiny? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, check out the Buy Me a Coffee page, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.